definitely missing out. It's the DLUV Afternoon Show weekdays from 2 to 4 only on unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Like a brand new flavor in your ear. Yeah.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Today is the anniversary of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Today is the launch of Season 2, Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Hard to believe. It's been an official year, with some practice in the months before. Over the year, we've grown in every possible way, from presence to guests to focus on all things of excellence. Thank you for your support, and join us this season for the J Lunch Club on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Monday through Friday, 12 to 2 p.m. PST, 2 to 4 CST, 3 to 5 EST. We're going to light things up for you. Today on Moving Mountain Mondays is Mr. Krim's class with Mr. Ernest Krim III. In the second hour, Dr. Aubrey Hendricks will be our guest host for The Faith Not to Fall. He is the author of The Politics of Jesus and the author of Christians Against Christianity. We extend our get well wishes to our very own Reverend Terry Hord Owens. I am so excited about this show for a number of reasons. Literally, I sat down and our producer, Gina Towns, the creator of our show, has created a new format for the new year. And I'm extremely excited about it. We have our own music. We have our own bugs that we're listening to. And it's really energy that is so exciting that comes from Gina. She's so capable of everything that she does. But number one, she is the best producer on earth. Grateful to Gina Towns. She'll join us in the bottom of the second segment. I do want to say this. My father is doing a lot better today. He's been in a life struggle, but I'm grateful to announce that he is showing some signs of recovery, given that his prognosis for PSP is extremely difficult. Please keep him in your prayers. I want to share with you all some of what Thanksgiving was like for me this year. I had some friends over. We sat around and we talked and we laughed. We ate till our heart's content. And one of my friends from deep down south, I won't mention his name, he ate everything on his plate and left a few chicken bones there. And I looked at him real carefully because I knew we had plenty of chicken left. All he had to do was get up and go get some more chicken. But he looked at me, I looked at him, and I just nodded. Don't do it. Don't do it. And he looked at me. He could read my mind. He's just going to do it anyway. He reached over and grabbed the chicken bone and started biting the ends off of it and started chewing the gristle and crunching the gristle at the table. And I was like, This is the last Thanksgiving I'm doing with this Negro right here. This Negro got to know that his country self should not be around the Thanksgiving table sucking the bone marrow out of a chicken. I even put up a Facebook post today that said, I need some space for some new people on my Facebook page. Please let me know if you eat gristle, suck marrow, bite, chew, or crunch the end of chicken bones. And so we just laughed at him the entire Thanksgiving dinner. But if you eat chicken bones, gristle, suck marrow, bite, chew, or crunch on the end of chicken bones, I don't mind you guys listening to our show. But just don't do that on the new radio show. That just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, particularly excited about this new show, the new format. Those of you who are downloading the app or listening to us on the KBLA app, please download the app. Please support KBLA. I'm not going to get off of this kick during the Christmas season, which began the day after Thanksgiving. Please put KBLA under your Christmas tree. We don't get all of this clear, unadulterated, clear talk anywhere else in the United States. It starts with Dominique DePrima in the morning. It continues with the master of radio and a person who is unbought, just like Shirley Chisholm, and unbossed and unbought, Tavis Smiley. I'm particularly grateful that he has given me this extraordinary opportunity. I love talk radio, and I love the time that we spend every day on this show, Monday through Friday from 12 to noon on the West Coast, 2 to 4 p.m. on the Central Time in the United States, and certainly 3 to 5 on the East Coast and all over the world. People download our app in London and Johannesburg, South Africa. We've had guests on our program from Jamaica. We've had guests on our program from Sri Lanka. We've had guests on our program because the technology simply allows us to have guests from all over the world. Sometimes our perspectives within the United States matter, but sometimes perspectives from people outside of the United States also confirm for us what we are looking at here in the United States, what they are experiencing on the outside. My mother once told me when I was growing up and I was practicing my own form of nationalism, saying, we just need to leave America. She said, you don't want to leave America because, this is Jackie talking, my mother. Tavis calls her, how's Miss Jackie doing? So I'm going to call her Jackie for just this moment. Jackie says, you don't want to be outside of America when America decides to bomb you one day. You really do want to be here. You want to be the agitator. You want to be the Jonah in the belly of the whale. You want to grab the whale by its vital organs and make it do right, hold it to some kind of moral and political code. But if we were on the outside, we would have very little to say about what is taking place in the United States and in our world. And so maybe, just maybe, in all of our complaining and all of our concerns, which are all legitimate, every one of them, from 16, 19, the trauma that we've experienced, the history, which I've gone over on this program many, many times and will continue to do, maybe we have a divine purpose. Maybe, like the Congressional Black Caucus, we are to be the conscience of America. And it's impossible to imagine an America without the Negro sitting right here in the middle of her bosom, holding America accountable. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to God and to all of our listeners here at KBLA. Please put KBLA under your Christmas tree this year. Don't shop at Amazon. Don't shop at Target. Where else should they not shop, Gina? Amazon, Target, and Home Depot. And I don't want to mention somebody's company that ain't on the list of Jamal Bryant. But all them Jamal Bryant companies, let's give Jamal some love. All them companies we need to avoid during the holiday season and honor our selective patronage towards that end. In our first segment of this show, the first hour, Ernest Krim III is going to talk about the Montgomery bus boycott and how we found our foundation in selective patronage to help our message be heard, to achieve a desegregated society, an inclusive society. And we simply cannot do that unless we do it all together. And that also includes our attitudes and disposition regarding to California Edison, Pedro Pizarro. We have not forgotten about you during this holiday season and the way in which you've been treating the people disrespectfully of Altadena by not showing up at the KBLA Forum. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, the first anniversary.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Get ready to shop Lowe's Black Friday Doorbuster deals to save $150 on a 30-inch Blackstone griddle, now $299. Plus, choose a Whirlpool top-load washer or Midea top freezer refrigerator for just $398. These limited-time Doorbuster deals go fast, so get holiday ready today at Lowe's. We help, you save. Valid 11/28 through 12/1. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
We all have regrets. That haircut, that text, missing out on Kohl's Cyber Days. Good news, you can fix at least one of those. Get up to 50% off gifts for everyone on your list. Sunday and Monday only at Kohl's. From cozy favorites to top toys, you've got 2 days until you miss out. Don't let Cyber Days be the sale that got away. Save at Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Select styles, offer ends December 1st. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Wally drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. I want to thank Farley, the Jackmaster, Keith, for that intro music. I'm really, really excited about that. Farley took his time and worked that out for us and wrapped into it KBLA, which is particularly important to us. I am grateful in this particular hour to welcome our very special regular contributor, Ernest Krim III. Ernest is a teacher of extraordinary capacity. You can see him all over social media, bringing tidbits of African-American history to all of the American people. And when I spoke with Ernest today, and our producer, Gina Towns, spoke with Ernest, Ernest said that he wanted to put the Jamal Bryant boycotts, the boycotts that African Americans around our country are leading against 3 major corporations who disrespected us on the questions of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the context of the Montgomery bus boycott. Ernest, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and to your show, our favorite millennial, Mr. Krim's class. Hi, Ernest.
Hey, what's up, brother? It's good to be back with you again, man. I was over here rolling when you were talking about your Thanksgiving dinner because we can all relate to that.
you don't eat chicken bones, do you, man? I mean, you don't like.
No, man. I clean the bones, but I stop. I don't go that far.
You ain't never seen nobody bite the end off no chicken bone. You start chewing and crunching at that table.
You can't take some of us nowhere, man. That's why we got to eat at home on Thanksgiving.
Man, I'm so glad you said that. And I didn't say you can't take some of us everywhere, man. Some folks you ain't supposed to expose to your friends. I was like, don't do it, brother. I didn't even say it. I just looked at him and nodded my head real softly. Bro, don't do it. That Negro said, man, I'm not leaving these here. I could read his mind. When that Negro had the phone, I said, oh, this is going to be Thanksgiving right here. Anyway, Ernest, serious business today. A historic moment in the history of our people, the history of our country, and it coincides with what's taking place in our country nationally. Take your time.
Yeah, I think it's very timely that a year ago you started your radio show on this day. I think that says a lot. I'm not sure if it's purely a coincidence, and in fact, I don't believe in coincidences. I just know it was divine timing. I think also too, considering where we are, it means a lot for where we need to be going moving forward. We just got off the heels of, well, I would say, are continuing a boycott of whether it be boycotting Black Friday with big box retailers and continuing that with Cyber Monday. And then you take into account that 70 years ago on this day, Rosa Parks was arrested. And we saw for the first time what it meant for an entire community to galvanize behind a movement. And when I even say that, I think it's important to understand that what Rosa Parks did, in hindsight, of course, being 2020, we say it was the right thing. It was the perfect thing to do. But we have to also consider, too, that during that time, I'm sure you had naysayers. You had people that thought that she was, as we say, doing too much. And we had people that thought she should have just got along and she should have chose a different route because she was trying to ruffle too many feathers. But we know that without that blueprint that they set, and without the road that she paved, we don't see the possibilities of what we can do today. I think it's important during this time to also elevate the names of people in that movement who some folks might not be as aware of. Folks like Joanne Robinson, who was out there on the ground and dealt with something similar prior to what Rosa Parks did. Because we know that Rosa Parks and what she did, she was tired, but they wanted to make sure that this was a coordinated attack right here, right? We want to also elevate folks like Claudette Colvin, folks who like Claudette Colvin, who is still with us today, who did the same thing as a high school kid. We also want to elevate folks of a previous generation who protested, folks like Ida B. Wells. We know what Ida B. Wells did. We know she was a fiery writer and speaker who went against lynching, but she also was someone who protested on public transportation and, in fact, won one of those cases in the late 1800s. Octavius Cotto in Philly, Caroline LeClount, who was his fiance at the time, she protested something similar as well. So I think when we consider that this has happened in various other generations, the thing that we have to pinpoint is, well, why exactly was Rosa Parks' demonstration so powerful? Because it happened in an era when it needed to happen. It was the perfect time. Sometimes it's not just about the protest, but it's about all these different things converging, such as the types of media at our disposal. And I think that what we have to reflect on when, and as we talk about the 70-year anniversary of Rosa Parks being arrested, is what is the best way for us to go about it? Because boycotting now is not the same as boycotting then. Because also, we keep in mind that when that happened, there was a 4-day period between when she was arrested and when the boycott officially began, December 1st through December 5th. We have to keep in mind that all the planning that went into account priorly and the planning that had to take place the next 4 to 5 days. So as we are in this moment, I think it's important for us to study and look at all the things that happened behind the scenes. And I'm always encouraging people to pay close attention to all the people who were involved, the thousands of Black folks, and think about the names that you don't know and that ratio compared to the names you do know. Now, we know, of course, Dr. King. We know, of course, Rosa Parks. But think about how many other people made this work. Folks like Georgia Gilmore, who was selling her food, selling plates to make money so that she could donate it back to the movement. Everybody in this movement has a role to play. And not every single person, as we organize, will be on the forefront. Not every person will be the one like a Pastor Jamal Bryant that's at the pulpit speaking. But always remember that a Pastor Jamal Bryant is possible because of a congregation that supports him, not just through the tithing, but by actively listening and by actively engaging. So my call for folks right now is, as we move forward with this boycott, and we think about ways in which we can support local businesses, supporting Black-owned businesses, Black women-owned businesses, especially those that are committed to fully supporting us back. We have to think about all the mechanisms that have to be in place to support those who are engaged in this. When you boycott a bus company in the 1950s, understand, you got to have carpooling set up too, right?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Ernest, I was just reflecting upon a story that I read many, many years ago about a company called the Safe Bus Company in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Founded in 1926 by 21 Black men who combined their jitney services, the company initially provided transportation for the African American community in areas that white-owned public transportation ignored. It grew to become the largest Black-owned transportation company in the nation. And in 1972, the city of Winston-Salem purchased it, integrating it into the new public transportation system. How about that? We had the largest Black-owned bus company in the nation, in large measure because of segregation and because Black folk needed to get around and they wouldn't let us ride. Long before Rosa Parks integrated busing and the Montgomery bus boycott, we owned something. And then ultimately, when the laws and the Iron Curtain of segregation came tumbling down, the 1964 Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, public accommodations legislation, but certainly the impetus from Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954, we owned a bus company because they didn't want to cut our hair. They didn't want to bury us. By the way, that's where most of our funeral parlors come from. White folks didn't want to handle Black bodies. And so Black people prospered in these areas where segregation essentially would not cover our communities. And to hear you remind us of these heroines and Sherowins, these sheroes, who laid the foundation for integrated transportation, it also changed the bus routes of Montgomery, Alabama as well. Ernest?
You know what? That's one of my favorite stories to share on social media. And one of my favorite stories I'm able to admit that I came across some years ago on social media. And when I came across that information, of course, like so many people who might follow my page, my first question was, why wasn't I made aware of this? Especially because they started this business 30 some odd years priorly to this even started. One of the things I say when I speak to audiences is this two phrases. I say that we always have to be committed to agitating and creating. Agitate and create. So what Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott movement was agitation, agitate the system. That particularly works well with people who might have a job within the system who know what's going on and they find ways to give us the secrets and advocate for us. But on the other hand, we also have to be able to create something at the same time. Simultaneously, I would even say put that thing in motion before you begin to protest. Because what they had was an alternative. And we know at the same time, the carpooling system they had in Montgomery was similar, but it just wasn't operating as one united business. This is powerful because, like you said, this was something that even started before the movement and after, to the point where the city bought them because their own separate public transportation systems weren't even working. Agitate, create. And that is also something, of course, to think about in this movement, because when we say boycott, we have to be very specific in particular. We're not saying don't buy anything over the next, unless you're off the grid and making your own stuff. That's almost impossible. We're talking about redirecting those dollars to our community. Let's think about the ways in which we can support folks doing the same thing. For example, one of the things I've always done really is when I'm drinking coffee, I'm going to support a local business. I'm going to support, and you got to think about the margins with a coffee shop. I never had one, but I'm just saying most of the time when I go, I'm not getting the matcha. I'm not getting all that fancy stuff, man. I'm getting some straight black coffee. So I'm only paying $3 for the most part, $3, $4. If you have 10 people come in and buy a black coffee, you only made $30, right? Yeah. So think about, so I say that to say, make sure y'all tipping too for the coffee shop owners. But think about what that means in comparison to a Starbucks that has branches all over the country. If we can redirect 20 to 30 people a day, like go support that local black owned coffee shop. Buy something a little extra. Think about what that means for the families. Think about what that means for who they can hire as well. So it's not just a boycott. We don't want to just be anti. We don't want to just be anti-racist, anti-this. We want to also exemplify and show what it means to be pro-community and pro-us too.
Ernest, when I think about my dad in this moment, and I'm going to keep KBLA under my Christmas tree this year, even though I can't do this myself. Maybe there's a benefactor or two or three who might find it within their capacity to, for example, in the name of KBLA, buy $2,000 worth of California Edison stock in the name of KBLA and change KBLA's positioning with the company. That is, when they have a shareholders meeting, our leader, Tavis Smiley, can actually show up at the shareholders meeting as partial owner from KBLA, sharing as owners how we don't feel like we should be disrespected. I mean, it's one thing to boycott Home Depot. It's also to buy about $2,000 worth of stock in Home Depot in the name of KBLA, and Tavis show up at the shareholders meeting of Home Depot and talk about African-American products on their shelves and where are they for home improvement. It's one thing to boycott Walmart. It's another thing in the methodology of Jesse Jackson to have about $2,000 worth of stock in Walmart in the name of KBLA, and Tavis Smiley show up at Walmart as an owner and a shareholder saying we don't like this particular treatment. So as they onboard these companies that have disrespected us in this political climate, to have a voice in the shareholders meeting, to have a voice in the boardroom arguing for where are the Black folks on your board. I am a shareholder. I represent these interests, is to change the power position of our leadership itself into the conversation with the head of Apple and the head of Hewlett Packard and the head of these companies. Now, we're not asking for a whole lot. I'm just asking you to put KBLA under your Christmas tree because we need a little bit in the name of Jesse Jackson, a little bit of a stock portfolio, not an enormous portfolio, just about $2,000 worth, however many shares that equals, in order to empower us to have a conversation at the level where Pedro, Pizarro, or whomever the heads of these companies are making their pleas to shareholders and making their annual reports. We have a voice. When my dad stepped up to the microphone at a shareholder meeting as a shareholder, demanding more Black franchises, demanding more Black lawyers, demanding more Black accountants. What Black accounting firms are y'all using? Where are y'all advertising your dollars? Do you know the percentage of Black people who actually use your stores and use your products? I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We are in Mr. Krim's classroom on the Jesse Jackson Jr. show. It's the J Lunch Club. That's where we are. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Dozens of new laws go into effect this week, including a bathroom bill. It's the Texas Women's Privacy Act, which conservatives have been pushing for the last decade.
Worked on for about the last 8 years, so definitely a huge victory.
That's Mary Elizabeth Castle with Texas Values. She says the bill slaps limits on women's restrooms and locker rooms, restricting them based on biological sex. A Southside Chicago church is picking up the pieces after a Thanksgiving Day fire destroyed Renewal Life Church. No injuries were reported. Services moved to Fairfield Baptist this past Sunday as the pastor plans to rebuild. And many veterans, including Black veterans, face PTSD and barriers to care due to stigma and racial disparities. Advocates like Dr. Deandra Poe and James Harris, a veteran, stress culturally competent care and breaking mental health stigmas. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Despite losing at Carolina Sunday, the Rams are 9-3 and tied with the Chicago Bears for the best record in the NFC. Before Sunday's loss, Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford had thrown 318 consecutive passes without an interception. Stafford still leads the NFL with 32 touchdown passes. Multiple sources are reporting that Bob Chesney of James Madison University will be UCLA's next head football coach. Sources claim Chesney and UCLA have been discussing a 5-year contract. James Madison is 11-1 this season. Chesney is expected to be confirmed for the UCLA job after James Madison plays Troy on Saturday for the Sun Belt Conference Championship. HBCU Southern University introduced Pro Football Hall of Fame running back Marshall Faulk Monday morning as their new head coach. Faulk was the running backs coach at Colorado with Deion Sanders. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Life in Los Angeles is vibrant, diverse, and full of opportunity. But sometimes a bad day in LA isn't just a bad day. Being treated differently or unfairly because of language, race, ethnicity, religion, or a medical condition can happen to anyone, and it is against the law. Have you faced unfair treatment when shopping, receiving services, or by an employer in the city? The Los Angeles Civil Rights Department enforces civil and human rights law to reduce private sector discrimination. We're here to work with you to find remedies, corrective actions, and help to connect you with needed resources. Don't let discrimination and unfair treatment go unchecked. Report your discrimination complaint at laisforeveryone.com. We want to hear your story. Visit laisforeveryone.com because your civil rights matter.
At the tone, please record your message.
You ready? Drop it! Mr. Tavis Smiley, preach it. Thank you, man. Politics in this country is crazy. You put things in perspective that even I didn't. The right is playing fast and loose with facts and scapegoating everyone under the sun, especially black and brown people. As a white man, I do not agree with this, and I am on my black and brown brothers and sisters' side. Fight the good fight. You know that I am part of the resistance. Let's fight the power.
Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Come on and talk with me. Come on and
Mr. Friend's classroom. I love these in and out. So proud of our executive producer, creator of our show, Gina Towns, for doing this for the show, taking it to another level of excellence and professionalism. So grateful for that. Thank you, Gina. I want to go back to Ernest for a moment and finish our conversation about the Jesse Jackson methodology beyond the Montgomery bus boycott. It's one thing, Dr. Krim, Professor Krim, if Al Sharpton's on the outside protesting, right, and Jamal Bryant's on the outside protesting, and hell, the CBC can be on the outside protesting. But it's also important, I think, to have a credible voice on the inside with the kind of integrity necessary to look at the shareholders, look at the millionaires and the billionaires who are sitting there directing the company and And you're in a position to say, now, what about Black law firms? What about advertising on Black radio? What about advertising in Black newspapers and Black medium and Black social media? What about us? We're not asking for welfare here. We're asking for our share. If 30% of your market is African American, depending upon whatever the research reveals about Home Depots, for example, here in the city of Chicago on 87th Street or on Canal Street, primarily serving African American and Hispanic communities. These stores are in the Black community. And what we lost as a result of the big box stores are the little hardware stores. And the little, when Walmart decided that they wanted to put a grocery store in the big box and buy all of their produce and all of their groceries at a different margin, they put this little lady right here and this little family right here that was in the grocery business out of business. And so while we may not ask them or be in a position to ask them to support a local grocery store because because of the amount of product that you're able to purchase at lower prices has essentially put us out of business, there are other categories that immediately come online that still keep you connected to our community. And that, from my perspective, requires a voice on the inside. And usually, and I tell you what happens every time, usually they find some Negro who they hire, and this Negro comes out and talks on the microphone, talking about, I'm handling everything, everything gonna be all right. That person gets a place on the board. They become a fairly wealthy person. They don't even live in the community. They live in some suburb somewhere, play golf with their friends all day, but they're the Black face of Black grievance and Black problems with the company. And from my perspective, we have to have someone on the floor with the stockholders holding them accountable and calling them out for being a handkerchief head, if that's in fact the role they're playing, because they're not identifying Black lawyers and putting money in Black banks, which, by the way, can lend money to our community for homeowners and other businesses when the bank is in a position to do so because they make so much money. Jesse Jackson took Montgomery and the bus boycott, Ernest, to another level.
Yeah, I think you make some excellent points. Just to echo some of what you're saying, it goes back to what I was saying previously with agitating and creating. We have to be honest and say, when we talk about supporting Black-owned businesses in this moment, we have to keep in mind why so many Black business districts don't even exist. And I think that would give people a better idea of why we say, yes, we want to create our own, but we also have to make sure that our voice is heard at these big box retailers, as you're saying. For example, the most prominent business district we are all aware of would be the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That was the case for many Black business districts throughout the course of American history. We didn't fail. It was the system's undertakings that led to our demise, whether it was explicit violence, whether it was highway expansion, eminent domain, urban renewal, gentrification, all these fancy synonyms that they throw out for domestic colonization in our neighborhoods. That's what happened. Sometimes it's violent, sometimes it's surreptitious and very covert. Other times, even in the community I'm in now with Joliet, that had its own Black business district, we find that federal policy in the 70s and 80s led to an outsourcing of factory jobs, which caused a lot of Black folks who came from the South to even come here because they could make a living wage with a high school education. Those jobs that they had, that supported the Black-owned businesses were taken overseas or completely eliminated. So when we even enter this conversation, I want folks to understand it's not that we stopped spending with Black folks. It's that there were carefully calculated mechanisms that undercut us. So yes, we must continue to support us. And even when we support us, like you said, it's not just about representation, because I don't want a Black person in business that's going to continue to create barriers for us the same way this capitalist system has
Play
done
golf all
and
day.
does.
Just cut to
Yeah,
the chase. Play golf all day.
exactly. And we know representation ain't enough because look at the Supreme Court, for example. So we have to make sure that our people have the right policies in mind. And when we are supporting each other with our business, we got to ensure that that support goes back to us too. Are we hiring folks in the community? Are we paying folks a living wage and so on and so forth? But we got to have that historical standpoint because that leads us to understand why this happened. And then when we say, yeah, spend your money with this person, but also too, let's support the people that are in the business, that are in the building, like you said, agitated, because unfortunately what we have seen happen so many times, to your point, is that hardware store goes out of business. That local farmers market, that local store goes out of business because the folks who have had a 200, 300, 400 year head start put it there, and they're giving money to the local city council to do it, and it undercuts us all. So this is a multi-layered approach that we must have moving forward.
Absolutely. And, I can't say it enough that some of our struggle has historically stopped at the outside. We've stopped at the outside where the agitation is. But on the inside, there's a negotiation. So Jesse Jackson says we must agitate, then we must research. Then, based on the facts, we must agitate. Then on the inside, we have to negotiate with integrity, right? And then we have to arrive at a settlement that equals an agreement. Jesse Jackson called them covenants. He used moral and theological terms that come from the Old and the New Testament, covenants which are not necessarily, but can be implemented in law. They should be legal agreements to establish a covenant with a community where you have a big box store or where you are the overwhelming beneficiary of Black consumers, including Black folk who pay power bills with California Edison, right? But then you have no relationship. None of California Edison's money, for example, might be found in a Black bank that helps strengthen the future of Altadena, where people can get loans and rebuild homes and rebuild lives and all that, rebuild schools, rebuild communities with the kind of support necessary to move their communities forward. You better believe they're doing that in other communities. You better believe that. But in our community, such a negotiation doesn't take place. And so when I think about this historic day and I think about the Montgomery bus boycott, it leaves a lot to be desired, because the access to the levers of power, the access to Wall Street, the access to the commodities exchange in Chicago, LaSalle Street, the access to the major markets in the world, we have access to them as Black people, but not only as consumers, but as potential owners and participants in the decision-making process, as well as the sensitization process necessary to accomplish justice for us all. We've got just a few minutes, Ernest, before we come forward. Some thoughts?
Yeah, I think a couple things I would like to share is one, when I was a teacher, I recall the fact that I was able to even get in the school district I was in that was majority Latino and Black and had very few Black teachers, because there was a Black educator there who had not even met me, had never met me, but was a friend of the family. And she put in a word for me to get that job. And then I think about the interview, I should say, because I had to do well at the interview. And I think about all the thousands of kids I was able to impact and also be fulfilled with that relationship because of that person. Now, of course, we want to have more schools that focus on our kids, but we also got to keep in mind there are public schools there that will have larger entities in a larger reach. And we got to have people on both sides.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the J Lunch Club. Our creator, Gina Towns, is going to join us on the future of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Moving Mountain Mondays, all the way to Fat Meat Fridays, eating chicken bones and chewing on gristle at Thanksgiving. We're going to talk about that when we come forward with our creator, Gina Towns, and Ernest Krim. More when we come forward on JLJ.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
In a city as big as LA, healthcare shouldn't feel far away. That's why Cedars-Sinai is breaking down barriers and bringing resources like free screenings, vaccinations, and wellness programs into local communities. From Leimert Park to Lincoln Heights and everywhere in between, Cedars-Sinai is showing up, partnering with over 200 local organizations to improve access to healthcare resources. Because care doesn't just happen inside a hospital. It happens in neighborhoods and places around the city where we live, work, and grow. Cedars-Sinai, here for LA. Unwrap LA this winter with Metro. Whether you're heading to a family gathering or last-minute shopping, Metro's got you. Enjoy free rides across Metro on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Move with joy. Move with community this holiday season. Go Metro. Established in 2020 during a time of deep racial unrest across our state and country, the Black Freedom Fund was created to make sure that leaders and organizations working to support Black communities and build power have the resources they need to stay in the fight for the long haul. We believe that those closest to the issues impacting our communities know best how to solve them. That's why in just the last 5 years, we've granted more than $45 million to over 200 grassroots organizations across California. That is the largest collective investment in Black organizing in history, and we're just getting started. We are clear-eyed and committed, more now than ever, to our people, our power, and our possibility. Join us in creating a future where Black people harness their full power to shape their lives and realize a just world for all. Learn more at fundblackfreedom.org. That's fundblackfreedom.org. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Is your loved one at the hospital or in a nursing home? Have they developed bed sores, fallen, or worse? These are things your family members should be protected from. Bed sores, falls, and dehydration are almost always the result of negligent care. If this has happened to your loved one, call Zoran at Basic Law Group at 800-215-1234 or visit basiclawgroup.com. The consultation is free, and if they don't win, you don't pay. That's 800-215-1234.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
Hey, Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome to the J Lunch Club on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, KBLA Talk 1580. In this final segment with Ernest Krim, where we have our regular conversations on Moving Mountain Mondays, our creator, Gina Towns, who is the executive producer of our show and the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And I can say from the bottom of my heart, Gina, about a year ago this time, you encouraged me to consider podcasting and radio. Hey, you got me in this, and it's been an amazing, it's got an amazing ride. Tell me what your vision is for the show, Gina.
So here he goes again. The pop in. Hi, Ernest.
Hey, what's up, Gina? Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. I hope you had a great holiday weekend and the same for the rest of our listening audience. So this screen that we put up here, join the Jesse Jackson Jr. J Lunch Club. You know, we really want to start to form family with our viewers, with your listeners here at KBLA. It is a great family that Tavis Smiley has orchestrated. And of course, he's in the center, in the middle of the connectivity around the world. But here we have all of our hosts who have come together and committed time and their talent, their expertise to the show. So we're very grateful to them. But I want to say, you know, this journey started a little bit before now. We initially started at WVON in Chicago and moved on to be with Tavis here in Los Angeles. And we are so very, very grateful for the acceptance that the Los Angeles community and the reception that they've given us and the camaraderie that we built over the past year. Thank you to Tavis and his brilliant leadership, his visionary expertise is beyond none. There is a reason why Tavis is among the top voices. And Jesse, of course, you have to see his vision in it because he asked you to come on, and at no time in history, there are no mistakes, just like you said, Ernest. At this time, your voice is needed, your vision is needed, your leadership is needed. And for such a time as this, KBLA and the platforms that we are on are pivotal to where we go as a people and as a country. And I want to thank our viewers. There are some people who have been with us and came with us, go back and forth from Chicago to LA. But on that screen, if you're not able to see it and you're listening right now, there is a map of the world, and there are all of the hosts who are regulars on our show from all the way from Africa and Europe to right in our own backyard. So we encourage you to stay with us. It's free, it's worldwide, it's at home, and we try to give you some solid food to chew on. So thank you, Jesse, for your work and your vision as well.
You know, I appreciate that. You know, I want to just compliment something I learned from my dad, and I'm going to share it with you guys right here, and you're going to have to read between the lines. You know, I watched my dad follow a basic theory. And the theory is really simple because I know it so very well, but I can't say it on the radio. So when you hear the word Negro in this little brief poem that I'm going to give you, I got it from my father, but he did not use the word Negro, but it does rhyme with bigger. You see, the bigger the Negro I become, the bigger the Negro we become. And the bigger the Negro we become, the bigger the Negroes we all become. That's the antithesis of the crabs in the barrel syndrome, where people are always pulling someone back in. So I have nothing but love for Tavis and what he's done at KBLA, because the bigger Tavis becomes, the bigger we all become. And the bigger we enforce and reinforce what we do together as a people, we overcome the legacy, Ernest, of the slave Bible, where one person does this and one person does that, and they reach into our community, grab somebody out and tell us, hey, here's your new leader. No, 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 no. We are inextricably bound in the very web that Gina has put on the screen for those of you who are downloading the podcast, that the bigger we become, the bigger Ernest Krim becomes. And he makes so much sense. The bigger PL Da Silva becomes, the bigger Barbara Arnwine becomes, the bigger we all become, and we become bigger together. And I don't mean that in the sense that we make any money from it. It just means that we in community gain strength in our integrity and our ability to speak freely about what matters to our people. Ernest, the bigger the Negro you become, the bigger the Negro we all become.
You know what I think is very important about this too, as you're talking about the presence of your radio show and Black-owned media. I've been reflecting on this a lot because we know a lot of Black-owned media companies are under attack right now. Several of them are engaged in lawsuits because they are unapologetically talking about our issues. I just want to let people know that when we look at the course of history, the media frames historical narratives and our understanding of the past. I know it seems simple, but maybe we don't think about it that way enough. The reason why there are so many things that I can share that folks are not aware of is because the media at that time that was dominated and still to this day is dominated by conservative white-owned establishments have sought to portray us and themselves in a certain narrative moving forward. Just think about the fact that oftentimes the lynchings that occurred throughout American history were instigated by media headlines. When you think about the war on us or the war on drugs that was instigated throughout history, many of this was instigated by media headlines. The false narrative of who we are to the dominant society is because of misleading headlines and stories. So stations like KBLA and what you do, Jesse Jackson Jr. with this show is a counterpunch to that. And it is so important in this time period where we have political leadership that is is constantly propagating false narratives as if they are true. This is where we get the truth in this moment. And this is where we get the information that will allow us to make the best decisions moving forward. So again, congratulations on the year. And I'm excited to see what the next year looks like too.
Hey, I pray that all that goes very well for the next year. Gina, her mind is so amazing. She's on down the road. We got the J Lunch Club. She says, we need to look at the supper club. I'm sorry, Gina.
I do want to take a moment before we run out of time to say thank you to the two engineers who make this whole thing happen. And that is Torrance Scott on our end and Miles Lowe at KBLA Talk 1580. Want to give them a shout out because we can't do what we do if they don't do what they do.
One of these days, we're going to bring them forward so we can actually see them, see the people who are behind the scenes. You hear us, Miles. I know you're right there. And I know you hear us, Torrance. So y'all be ready when Gina pulls y'all forward one day. Have your camera ready because I know you guys are sitting right there and it would be rough just to hear y'all voices without knowing that you all are ready for the presentation that Gina is going to bring forward when she really congratulates you guys for making everything that we do possible. This is the J Lunch Club on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. This is our first anniversary, and I'm particularly honored that our very special guest in the first hour has been our favorite millennial on Moving Mountain Mondays. On Moving Mountain Mondays in the afternoon, the final hour of our show, normally, Reverend Dr. Teresa Hord Owens is our guest. She is recovering from a little bit of a cold, a little bit of an illness, but we are glad and particularly proud that Dr. Aubrey Hendricks, one of the most prolific biblical scholars in the nation, in the world, will be our guest in the next hour. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on the J Lunch Club when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Dozens of new laws go into effect this week, including a bathroom bill. It's the Texas Women's Privacy Act, which conservatives have been pushing for the last decade.
Worked on for about the last 8 years, so definitely a huge victory.
That's Mary Elizabeth Castle with Texas Values. She says the bill slaps limits on women's restrooms and locker rooms, restricting them based on biological sex. A Southside Chicago church is picking up the pieces after a Thanksgiving Day fire destroyed Renewal Life Church. No injuries were reported. Services moved to Fairfield Baptist this past Sunday as the pastor plans to rebuild. And many veterans, including Black veterans, face PTSD and barriers to care due to stigma and racial disparities. Advocates like Dr. Deandra Poe and James Harris, a veteran, stress culturally competent care and breaking mental health stigmas. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Despite losing at Carolina Sunday, the Rams are 9-3 and tied with the Chicago Bears for the best record in the NFC. Before Sunday's loss, Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford had thrown 318 consecutive passes without an interception. Stafford still leads the NFL with 32 touchdown passes. Multiple sources are reporting that Bob Chesney of James Madison University will be UCLA's next head football coach. Sources claim Chesney and UCLA have been discussing a 5-year contract. James Madison is 11-1 this season. Chesney is expected to be confirmed for the UCLA job after James Madison plays Troy on Saturday for the Sun Belt Conference Championship. HBCU Southern University introduced Pro Football Hall of Fame running back Marshall Faulk Monday morning as their new head coach. Faulk was the running backs coach at Colorado with Deion Sanders. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Celebrate the soul of the holidays and support Altadena and Pasadena. Join us on Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, a joyful night of Motor City Soul, gospel, and holiday classics featuring an 18-piece band, all-star vocalist, and community choirs, all in support of the Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund. This performance comes at a pivotal time for many in Altadena and Pasadena. This is their first holiday season since the devastating Altadena Eden Canyon fire, which destroyed homes and community spaces. While the physical losses are immense, the power of community remains, and your attendance directly supports recovery, resilience, and renewal. So, be sure to join us Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, benefiting survivors of the Altadena Eden Canyon fire. For ticket information, just log on to tickets@thewallace.org. That's tickets@thewallace.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580 and the Black Freedom Fund.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me.
Looking forward to the Jalen's Club on Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this episode,
1580, download the app.
Dr. Aubrey Hendricks Jr. Dr. Hendricks is a lifelong social activist. Aubrey Hendricks is one of the foremost commentators on the intersection of religion and political economy in America. He's the most widely read and perhaps the most influential African-American biblical scholar writing today. Cornel West calls him one of the last few grand prophetic intellectuals. A widely sought-after lecturer and media spokesperson, Dr. Hendricks' appearances include CNN, MSNBC, CBS, Fox News, Fox Business News, the Discovery Channel, PBS, BBC, NHK Japan Television, and the Bloomberg Network. He is providing running event commentary for the National Public Radio, MSNBC, and Al Jazeera, and aspiring international television networks. Dr. Hendricks has been a member of the Faith Advisory Council of the Democratic National Committee, for whom he delivered the closing benediction at the 2008 Democratic Convention, served as the National Religious Leaders Advisory Committee of the 2008 Democratic Presidential Campaign, and served in the Religion and Foreign Policy Working Group at the U.S. Department of State under Secretaries Hillary Rodham Clinton and John Kerry. Dr. Hendricks, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and the J Lunch Club.
Thank you, my brother. Always so good to see you. Man, I sound good on paper, don't I?
You sound good on paper, on television, in literature, in writing, in scholarship. There's never been a debate.
Who are they talking about?
About how you sound. Dr. Hendricks, welcome forward to the show. Dr. Hendricks, we were talking a few moments ago with Ernest Krim, who is a historian and a teacher and has more than 4 million followers, about the intersection. I think I want to move it to the intersection now between liberation theology and the boycott process. The withdrawal of enthusiasm as a source of moral strength and courage. Dr. Hendricks, take your time.
Talk about the intersection of boycotting and Give me the question again, would you please?
The intersection of boycotting and liberation theology, the idea that we are practicing the highest level of our faith.
Yeah.
And we control our consumerism because of moral principles.
Exactly.
That we stand for. Dr.
Yeah,
James.
we are, thanks for the question, brother. It's important, that so many folk and throughout Christendom lose I'm not having a senior moment. The wheels roll. No, but they miss out on the fact that what Jesus taught was mostly ethics and morality. He didn't, teach doctrine right and theology, all that. He was ethical, what we should do and should not do in the world. And one thing that we are to do is to withdraw, not to give any energy to immoral activities, unethical activities. And that has a lot of implications, but one of the most easy ways to practice that on a collective level is through boycotting and saying that we are not going to give support to what we feel to be an immoral project or a corporation, a company, or a person who's engaged in some kind of activity that's deleterious to needless to any of our brothers and sisters. So it is a moral imperative to not give any kind of support to evil if we can possibly avoid it.
It seems that we're also, as Christians, stuck in a non-violent ethic in our approach.
Yeah.
And the anger, the anxiety, the frustration from forces that seem overwhelmingly far more powerful than we are. Billion-dollar global corporations. And here we are, one Christian at a time, one crucifix at a time, trying to stand against what Dr. King would have referred to as a mountain of evil. But then you're suggesting in that collective response, we are actually experiencing a different witness.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned anger. I don't know about you, but when I came up in Calvary Baptist Church in East Orange, New Jersey, we were taught that anger was something that we should try to tamp down. That it was a bad emotion, but that's that is a function of the domestication of Jesus' message, the defanging of Jesus' message. Because when you read the Gospel of Mark, he's angry a bunch of times. It's supposed to be angry. They soften. Give an example. The leper, the man who's a victim of leprosy who comes to Jesus and asks him to make him clean, and says that move with compassion. Jesus touch it. Well, there is a strong variant that says, the Greek word says, snorting with anger, move with anger, not move with compassion. He's angry that the priests have reduced this man in their edict that, he's a leper, and reduce him to begging and crying, please make me clean so I could come into human community again. When sometimes folks didn't have leprosy at all. Sometimes they just had psoriasis. We see him angry with the so-called woman with the widow's mite. We're taught that it's so wonderful that this woman gave all that she had to the church. She was so faithful. Now, Jesus was sitting, they said he went and sat directly across the treasury because he went there to protest. And he was saying, look at this mess. This widow, they got her fooled to think that the church or the temple is more important than her. And she gave all the money and got nothing to eat with. And we know that throughout the Hebrew Bible, one of the worst things you could do is mess with a widow. So there's anger, and we are supposed to show anger. And when it talks about turn the other cheek and don't get involved, that has to do with an insult. That's Jesus is telling folk how to maintain their dignity and their sense of agency when they're faced with an overwhelming force. So if somebody slaps you, well, you can't come back at them, you know, because they might have a whole bunch of soldiers and you there with your children. So you take agency. You say, well, all right, now I'm in control. Take the other chief here, you know. So that's you see how the Christian supremacists have twisted up Christianity so that, you know, we're sitting that they think it's best to sit, moan, and groan, just leave it to Jesus. And nobody just left to Jesus. And Jesus never said just leave it to Jesus.
Dr. Hendricks, this is Jesse Jackson Jr. More of the moral witness of Dr. Aubrey Hendricks when we come forward on the J Lunch Club with Jesse Jackson Jr.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 remembers Robin Ayers on the 1-year anniversary of her passing. 1 year ago this week, we lost a remarkable and vibrant voice. Robin Ayers touched countless lives through her passion, her love, her service, and her smile, which you could see through the radio. KBLA Talk 1580 honors her memory and celebrates the legacy she left behind. Robin, your spirit lives on in every conversation, in every connection, and in every one of us, inspired by your voice. Gone, but never forgotten. KBLA Talk 1580, where voices matter.
I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns.
Get ready to shop Lowe's Black Friday Doorbuster deals to save $150 on a 30-inch Blackstone griddle, now $299. Plus, choose a Whirlpool top-load washer or Midea top freezer refrigerator for just $398. These limited-time doorbuster deals go fast, so get holiday ready today at Lowe's. We help, you save. Valid 11/28 through 12/1. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
We all have regrets. That haircut, that text, missing out on Kohl's Cyber Days. Good news, you can fix at least one of those. Get up to 50% off gifts for everyone on your list. Sunday and Monday only at Kohl's. From cozy favorites to top toys, you've got 2 days until you miss out. Don't let Cyber Days be the sale that got away. Save at Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Select styles. Offer ends December 1st. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Our very special guest in this hour is none other than the nation's preeminent biblical scholar, Dr. Aubrey Hendricks, who has taught and preached and lectured at universities around the world. I'm particularly honored that he is our very special guest on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. Hendricks, you know, when I think about the politics of Jesus, your seminal work, along with Christians against Christianity, I think about the context within which you so eloquently and capably put the life of Jesus of Nazareth against the backdrop of empire itself, and how you define that ministry against the backdrop of empire. And that's exactly what we're looking at here in the United States. I'm wondering, in this moment, the Christian voice, the Christian witness is if we're in his shoes, and I mean the shoes of the master, the shoes not of the fisherman, but of the master himself, we have no alternative as Christians but to fight the way in which this empire is directing and expanding itself globally.
Yeah, no, it's no doubt. And let me just say that it's not out of a sense of humility, but there are others that I would call the preeminent biblical scholar in America. Thank you for your faith, but
You're just being humble. Let me tell you, Aubrey Hendricks, for those of you who haven't read The Politics of Jesus or Christians Against Christianity, you're depriving yourself of a profound treat in terms of just pure scholarship, but clarity. And I've not seen anything quite like it since Jesus and the Disinherited by Howard Thurman. And Cornel West, even in my introduction, made it very clear that Dr. Hendricks, in his humility, is one of the best that's ever done it. Dr. Hendricks, now this question about Jesus and empire.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's a very good question. You always ask such good questions and raise such important points. Yeah, Jesus, remember, and Howard Thurman really, made this clear way back in the 40s, before there was liberation theology, that Jesus was a colonial subject, a victim of colonialism. Said that if a Roman soldier came and kicked him in the Jew, he'd just be a Jew in the ditch, right? So Jesus was under the Roman Empire. He was a colonial subject under the brutal Roman Empire. And the things he talked about, for instance, he talked about hunger and poverty more than anything else, which was, somewhat a function of the fact that most of the people in his world were peasants with subsistence farmers, but also, they had very heavy, onerous tax dues that the Roman Empire had levied on them, in addition to the dues to the temple. And some scholars believe that some years taxes were as much as 40% of subsistence production. And so, when Jesus talks about poverty, he's talking about, he's decrying the oppression and the exploitation of the people, to the point that in the Lord's Prayer, he says to pray that people have enough food to eat, pray that they'll be released from their debts. In his first, in the first line of what Luke tells us is his very first public pronouncement. He says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he anointed me to preach, to bring good news to the poor, which is what? Heralding a structural change to make society and the political economy more fair. So, you can't be a follower of the gospel and not be concerned about fighting the depredations of empires, whether they're corporate empires, political empires. It's about, because Jesus stood for justice, fighting for justice and for love, and empire and a loving justice society cannot exist at the same time. Preachers need to understand that.
Dr. Hendricks, your work is clear on helping frame the character of the first century Jesus of Nazareth, the Nazarene.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems that inherent in your work, without you necessarily saying so, but there are critiques that are worthy of note, that the church itself is not being true to that first century activism.
No, it's not, and it's by design. You and I have talked about it before. Jesus started a movement, and it was the faith of the oppressed. By the time we get to the 4th century, where the Roman Emperor Constantine takes over, says that he is the Pontifex Maximus, translation, the Pope. of Christianity. At that point, it becomes the official religion of the oppressor. And from that point, it's always been about supporting, it's always softened the revolutionary and the radicality of Christianity, even up to this point. And so, we're heir to that, as every empire has been. But also, on the other hand, we have this laziness and this ignorance among a number of preachers who just don't even bother to stand on the radicality of the gospel. They get involved in forgetting that there's a movement dimension of it. There's concern about the institutional maintenance dimension of it. So the two things, there are those who don't know any better because of the legacy of the domestication of the radicality, and then there are others who don't take the gospel as seriously as they should. Let's face it. A lot of one of the dynamic things about your father is that he went out. He was always in the fight. He got his hands and his shoes dirty every day. A lot of these preachers, man, they don't even get their shoes dirty. It's like they don't even need a shoe shine. and that's criminal. Ministerial practice. If you're not striving to make this a much more just society, so that all God's children can eat of the true, have the access to the fruit of the tree of life in equal measure, at least equal access. If you're not doing that, and you're supposed to be a minister of the gospel, then you're engaged in ministerial malpractice, whether you realize it or not. And I gotta say it baldly, because it's past time to be playing games about it.
Ministerial malpractice. So in this moment, I'm thinking that Jamal Bryant is exercising the finest traditions of first century Christianity. I feel that way about Reverend William Barber. I feel that way about Reverend Sharpton. I feel that way about Cornel West and Dyson. And I think about and feel that way about some of our brothers and sisters who are not formally in the ministry, as pastors or seminary professors or teachers or presidents, generally in the hell-raising category is if the Bible were written today, there would be some chapters named after some of the people who are raising hell, who might later be watered down. But in this moment, our sisters too, are standing up, brother. I mean, they're standing up.
Oh yeah, but they are a notable exception. But they are out there, and but there is a theological problem as well. I mean, and I'm not taking anything away from what many of these people are doing under difficult circumstances, and they're showing prophetic imaginations to stand out. Jamal, for instance, he's going to take on Target. Like, what the hell made him think, that he could take on Target except prophetic imagination, right?
That's right.
On the other hand, some of those who are engaged in prophetic, really prophetic activism in the best tradition of the gospel, they're also engaged. Some of them are engaged in this preacher personality cult stuff, where they become celebrity preachers, and also under the guise of being, pseudo, Pentecostal or whatever, services too often turn into entertainment spectacles. I mean, which is, it's not. It shouldn't be about changing the way people feel. It should be about changing what they do. But a lot of, I'm seeing this spectacle. I grew up seeing people do the holy dance. I'm from Farmville, Virginia. I grew up in Jersey, but I spent a good deal of my youth there. And, that's an important part of celebration. But let's get into the point now. It's turned to entertainment, man. It's just about having fun. That's what I'm getting at. Much of church, people come out saying, we show our church. What they're saying is, we sure had fun. And that's a problem. We don't see people leaving the church saying, yes, we got to change this thing. Yeah, I'm fired up to change this world. We see very little of that. So you see, I'm saying you have both sides. On the one hand, we have those who are really struggling, but on the other hand, sometimes their services aren't empowering, prophetically empowering. I'm saying.
I identify with that. I mean, I appreciate that. Now I know that I'll get criticized. You've been criticized for it, but the fact of the matter is that's exactly what it is. I've seen people practicing the holy dance.
Yes.
Before they go to church.
Oh yeah, man.
In front of a mirror.
Yeah.
You know they're going to draw an audience, and you can't stop them once they start at church.
And guess what? They don't do it in the back of the church. They got to get in the front of the church. Right? and dude, that's what I used to always say, like, wow, they don't even miss a beat, man. I
saw a feature on social media do the whole Thriller video, man.
Yeah, I saw that too. I'm like, they should have smacked that nigga. I saw it was this big guy, right? And
yeah. It was either Thriller or Bad or something.
It was one of the Michael Jackson videos.
He shook his hand.
Yeah, he's kicking his leg and all that. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Hey, man, but what they need to understand is James Brown did it better. You know, stop. Like, man, I saw the Blues Brothers the other day and the James Brown church scene. I'm like, yes. Exactly. That's what folk are doing.
You see the light.
Yeah, man. And they jumping on all somersaults, man. And I'm like, what does that have to do with the gospel? I understand the cultural resonances of it, but that should be, that should be a minor part. That should be even maybe a separate part of an empowering gospel service.
There's no doubt about it, and that's when I was at the seminary, they taught none of that. That thing showed up somewhere.
Yeah.
It shows up somewhere else on the Christian journey. And when I reflect upon, when you see speeches by Andy Young and Martin Luther King Jr., and you see some of the speeches of C.T. Vivian and these fighters, that kind of, I want to say it's Pentecostal, right? That is not happening. I mean, people are attentive. Mm-hmm. They reach a community of understanding and suffering.
Yes.
And they ended up suffering together.
You mentioned community, and that's we have audiences now, largely. Many audiences, they come to hear and see it, and then they leave. But you're right. They build communities on the basis of their faith and their witness and their willingness to sacrifice and their awareness that they should not replicate the Pharisees and Sadducees by being a privileged priestly or ministerial caste. And that's so important.
I know that when we come forward on the Jesse Jackson Jr. show, I do want to ask Dr. Hendricks about the legacy of Jesse Jackson. Dr. Hendricks has spent a considerable amount of time with my father, and they've talked theology, they've talked witness, they've talked movement. I know that he has a profound respect for the Reverend Jesse Jackson, but his insights might probe far deeper than the average person who, at the surface level, might understand the contribution of Reverend Jesse Jackson. More with Dr. Aubrey Hendricks when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Los Angeles is now 1,000 days away from the closing ceremony of the 2028 Paralympic Games. Black Mayor Karen Bass marked the milestone at a Westchester climbing center, noting the Games will debut paraclimbing.
We are 1,000 days away from the Paralympics.
She stressed making the events inclusive for athletes with disabilities. President Trump says he'll be in Baltimore on December 13th for the Army-Navy game at M&T Bank Stadium. The announcement comes amid renewed attention on his past criticism of the city. Trump has previously clashed with Black Governor Wes Moore and Black Mayor Brandon Scott, even as Baltimore reports major drops in violent crime this year. And singer John Legend says he had to negotiate his stage name after an adult film producer and rockabilly musician named Johnny Legend raised trademark issues. They reached an agreement, and Legend joked he kept his promise not to make adult films or rockabilly music. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Despite losing at Carolina Sunday, the Rams are 9-3 and tied with the Chicago Bears for the best record in the NFC. Before Sunday's loss, Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford had thrown 318 consecutive passes without an interception. Stafford still leads the NFL with 32 touchdown passes. Multiple sources are reporting that Bob Chesney of James Madison University will be UCLA's next head football coach. Sources claim Chesney and UCLA have been discussing a 5-year contract. James Madison is 11-1 this season. Chesney is expected to be confirmed for the UCLA job after James Madison plays Troy on Saturday for the Sun Belt Conference Championship. HBCU Southern University introduced Pro Football Hall of Fame running back Marshall Faulk Monday morning as their new head coach. Faulk was the running backs coach at Colorado with Deion Sanders. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on the J Lunch Club on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest is the nation's preeminent African-American but Christian biblical scholar. And I'm so grateful that he's spending time with us this afternoon on our show. Dr. Hendricks, welcome forward to our show.
Thank you, sir. So glad to be with you always, always.
Dr. Hendricks, just before the break, I asked you a question about the time that you spend your discerning understanding of leadership and what you find and have found unique about Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Oh, man. Well, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Well, first, I mean, he's a unique figure in the history of this country in that his activism, his witness, his successes span, racial equity, party politics, international relations, moral clarity, bringing moral clarity to policy debate and all that. No, that's important. One of the things that was so important to me many years ago, and to many people my generation, I'm not a lot younger than him, but was his courage. and his boldness and his standing tall, and his brilliant ability to distill issues into understandable bites, and his boldness in the face of conservative and right wing and racist attacks. Oh no, man, it was very, very empowering. But what's missed a lot by many folks, that what moved Reverend Jesse Jackson was not a quest for power for himself or for Black people. It was really what I've called the politics of Jesus. The Bible tells us that you must seek justice, number one, but the core of the gospel is love your Lord your God, all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. In other words, to be moved to serve our neighbor's needs because of our faith in God. That's a responsibility. But I've talked about this before, but one of the implications is not just, loving your neighbor is wanting the best for your neighbor, wanting the same good things for your neighbor that you want for yourself and your own loved ones. But a further implication is also not just to want it for them and for ourselves, but we're all willing to struggle for ourselves and our own loved ones to have the most freedom, the most material goods and all that. And so it's also a commandment to struggle for our neighbors to have the same access to all the good things of life. And neighbor doesn't mean somebody in your region proximity, and includes what the Bible talks about so much is the stranger, the immigrant. So it's everybody. And that's what I've seen as being underlying Reverend Jesse Jackson's activism and all the various areas he's worked in. It's struggling to actuate love for our neighbors, which really means struggling for the common good. Wouldn't you agree with that? He's always worked for the common good, and he moved from just being focused on the immediate thing that he faced as a youth, and that's racism and white supremacy. But as it grew, it expanded to take in all kinds. He fought corporatism, corporate capitalism, and all of that, all about the command to struggle for the common good. And that's the way I understand him. The most unique figure in the history of this country. I think there's no question about that.
I love that. I love your interpretation of his life, his work, and I'm so grateful that he is still here with us to hear that and to hear it from you. I know that that he's jumping with joy to the extent that he can. In that moment when you were talking about Jesus of Nazareth, I was thinking about how simple the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John really are. That if there ever was an itinerant preacher, the very definition has to be Jesus of Nazareth.
Yeah.
And how simple, when you read the Bible and you read specifically the New Testament, and that very short 3-year ministry of Jesus of Nazareth, he took very difficult concepts and made them so simple for the masses of people that 2,000 years later, it is still the height of philosophy.
Absolutely.
It is still the height of theological reflection.
Yeah.
I've heard some preachers preach for an hour. I've heard them preach for 2 hours. I've heard some preachers preach for 50 years. And they couldn't say what Jesus said in 3 or in just a few short sentences.
Yeah.
I get interpretation. I get hermeneutic. I get expanding upon it and keeping it real and making it, down here where the billy goats can get it. But that really is one of the simplicity of Reverend Jackson's message.
Yeah.
Right down here where people can eat on it and chew on it and understand it.
Yes,
Gina's saying fat meat.
Exactly. But that is because I get 2 things. Number one, he was focused on the people and their needs, focused on them, and also he was among the people. He saw himself as one of the people. Didn't see himself as a privileged pastor. You know, all these pastors, man, they got imperial pastorates, man. You know, like they're supposed to, you know, live better than everybody in their congregation, just like the Pharisees back in the priestly aristocracy. But no, he was always with the people, and that's one thing he and Al Sharpton have in common. And Reverend Barber, they're out among the people all the time. That is where his strength and his focus came from. So when you're with the people and you're talking to people, then you know how to talk to them, what they can hear and what they can't hear.
That did make Malcolm unique. That did make Dr. King unique. It did make James Bevel and James Orange, all these ministers. It made C.T. Vivian. Yes. It made them unique.
Yes.
And I've even seen in the church, now this you might find unique, and I'm sure you've been in far more churches than I've ever been in. I've been in quite a few. I saw a pulpit one time that was literally behind an iron fence with a gate on it, and the pastor was the only one who had the key.
That's unbelievable.
I saw that. I mean, I saw it, that the pulpit was reserved for the pastor, and he had the key. He opened it up literally in front of the congregation, and he stepped in it. And you could do anything else you want to do in church. The sick and the shut in can speak over here, and the women can do this, and the deacons can talk over there. But even if a guest preacher was coming, he did not speak in that place where the gate was around where the pastor preaches.
Now so he's an emperor, right? He's a king. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. And you've seen them, man. They got churches, they got 5 members, and they got 10 so-called armor bearers, man.
Yes, armor bearers.
Oh man, it's like, you know, Bible, armor bearers, kings and generals had armor bearers. Sometimes a prophet, depending on what was going on. But man, these folk, I mean, it's like they have a privileged status, and ministers are not supposed to have a privileged status. It's a servant leader's status. But you know, these pastors, man, I had an uncle, I'm not going to mention his name. He became a pastor, man. You know, he wasn't trained or anything, but he rose from to pastor. The first thing he did was buy a Cadillac. It was used, but he had to have a Cadillac. He had to be big time. You know, man, it's a shame, man. And the people suffer. And how do we know? Because our people are still suffering. Nothing. We're not standing up to Trump and all the Christian nationalists, but the preachers are thriving. And that's terrible. That's unforgivable.
You know, I know we have about a minute and a half before we come forward, so I want to ask this question as quickly as I possibly can. The Department of Education eliminated nursing as a professional career by limiting scholarships and a whole host of other things, but it elevated theology to a professional career,
but not
for all kinds of.
Not our kind of theology.
Yeah, take your time, Doc. Yeah, we got about a minute before we come forward.
Yeah, but no, it's not our kind of.
But isn't nursing a ministry?
Well,
I mean, caregiving.
They don't. You know, part of being a malignant narcissist is to have no empathy at all, and Trump has no empathy, and also part of it is that cruelty being very important, and Trump's policies, what moves his policies, a lack of empathy and cruelty. To downgrade nurses is just unbelievable. But it also comes, they're not going to be the last ones downgraded, because he has a war against higher education, because it's educated folks that stand in the way of him being monarch. So we're going to see more of that. It's man, this is dangerous stuff now. It's demonic. And that's what makes me so mad about so many preachers, man. They preaching while Rome is burning, man.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour is Aubrey Hendricks. When we come forward, maybe 1 or 2 more questions, and then finally is a word of hope. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, a time to shine a light on a public health crisis that deeply impacts Black families. 1 in 5 Black adults ages 70 and older is living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD, and the risk is twice as high compared to white adults. But AD isn't just forgetting a name or losing track of time. Signs of early AD could be repeating questions, missing appointments, or struggling with bills and daily tasks. These things aren't a normal part of aging. Here's the good news. Treatments are available that may help if AD is diagnosed early. If you notice changes in memory or daily routines, whether in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatalsearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com to learn more about the signs and symptoms and a potential treatment option. This message is brought to you by AZI.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Charmin Ultra Strong. You can use less, better than the rest. Charmin Ultra Strong. Your booty past the clean test. Salmon wave texture, it's the best. Study up, teach a lesson on fresh. Your booty past the clean test. Yes, sir. Charmin Ultra Strong.
Charmin Ultra Strong with diamond weave texture cleans better than a leading one-ply brand, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
We all have regrets. That haircut, that text, missing out on Kohl's Cyber Days. Good news, you can fix at least one of those. Get up to 50% off gifts for everyone on your list. Sunday and Monday only at Kohl's. From cozy favorites to top toys, you've got 2 days until you miss out. Don't let Cyber Days be the sale that got away. Save at Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Select styles. Offer ends December 1st. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833 LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Support Center is your one-stop shop for reentry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the beat. Come on and talk with me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. This is the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. On KBLA 1580 on the J Club. Our very special guest has been none other than eminent biblical scholar, Dr. Aubrey Hendricks. Dr. Hendricks, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Sir, I'm so glad to be with you always.
I do have two questions for you. And then, of course, I leave plenty of time at the end of the show for your word of hope. In The Politics of Jesus, you talked about the need for us universally to call the demon by name.
Yeah.
This person over here may call it this. This person over here may call it that. But we can't organize ourselves against the demon unless we give the demon a name and call the demon what it is.
Right.
In this particular case, it might be white supremacy. That is what it is. Call it by name.
Yeah.
Dr. Hendricks, you're thinking about
Yeah.
why that universal thought and that thought of unity matters at moments like these.
Well, it's white supremacy. It's not just issue is not just white supremacy. It's not just fascism. I think that what we have to do is reclaim the language of good and evil. Some stuff is just evil, and if we can identify things as evil and explain why they are, then folk will fight harder, perhaps. And can you hear me?
Absolutely, I can.
Oh yeah, yeah. Folks would fight harder. For instance, Trump is evil. It's an evil regime. I mean, evil. I think by any measure, evil is needlessly hurting innocent people to serve your own interests or just because you can. That's evil. And Trump, it's like he's fueled by evil. He's fueled by hurting people, by denying folk basic things, by trying to crush folk. Listen to, there's not a good word comes out of his mouth. Everything is an insult, putting people down and all that. Willing to just to bomb farmers out in international waters and all that. If we start calling things what they are, that calling evil by its real name, maybe people will really start waking up and saying, we are in trouble, But I mean, I think you're right. White supremacy is I mean, people have to realize white supremacy means that whites and have crafted, because of their belief, their superiority, they have crafted a society that supports that, right? But it's also evil.
Yeah. I like that. When I think about the example that you cited about bombing these little skiffs with the world's most powerful navy in human history,
yes,
against these people who are pirates, maybe they're drug dealers, but we'll never know because they've never faced justice, or they've never will see a court of law, or threatening Nigeria and their internal relations between Muslims and Christians, or how he's behaved in the Middle East. And it just seems that there is a global reach for all things critical mineral.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than just saying that's foreign policy, it's evil.
It's evil.
The policy itself is evil. It ignores basic human rights. It ignores the United Nations. It ignores an incredible amount of history that led us to this moment to choose human dignity and to choose humanity over this kind of evil authoritarian, evil totalitarian, evil oligarchical regime. But it has to be called by something universally. So one group isn't over here fighting some philosophical concept from Karl Marx, and another group's over here fighting something that
fighting an evil empire.
We're fighting evil. The empire's evil.
All of it. Really, I think, we see that in 17th and 18th chapter of Book of Revelation. You go back and read it. It is describing empires. It can apply to capitalism. It certainly can apply to American capitalism. And that's an evil empire. We have to fight an evil empire. Jesus stood against the evil of empire.
Dr. Hendricks, we have about a minute and 15 seconds for a word of hope. I'm sorry that it's so brief.
Well, first, I'd like to say congratulations, brother, for your first anniversary, man. You've done extraordinary work. You've brought great people on, man. And oh God, you raised such important issues. I think the word of hope is, people like yourself who are raising consciousness in the public sphere, but also who is going back into government to be able to negotiate just policies, to try to push folks to fight for just policies. That's hopeful to me. That's my word of hope. Jesse, the kind of things that Jesse Jackson Jr. is doing is very hopeful to me.
I appreciate that very much. Let me go to a clip right quick. My producer's telling me go to the clip now.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Hi, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been hearing me guest host here on KBLA Talk 1580, and I'm having a blast. But I'm excited about joining the official lineup here at KBLA Talk 1580 starting Monday, January 6th at 1 p.m. Start your day with First Things First and Dominique DePrima at 6 a.m. Check out Tavis Smiley at 9 a.m. Tune into Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner at 12 noon, and then tap in with me on The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show at 1 p.m. weekdays. I served 17 years in the U.S. Congress, and I can tell you it's going to be a rough 4 years, so let's navigate this journey together. It's The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, starting Monday, January 6th at 1 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. So grateful that Dr. Hendricks has joined us. Our time is up. Until tomorrow, more on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.